Alright, so let's do number 11. So this time we're going from general form, or also called conic form, to standard form. So we want it to look like this. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do when you're going from here to here is you're going to put the x's together and the y's together. I don't mean combining like terms. I mean just kind of grouping them together. So I'm going to put the things that have x's together. So x squared minus 8x. So those have the x's. I'm going to put the y's together. So here, I'll even change colors here. So I'm going to put the y's together. So plus y squared minus 24y. And then what I'm also going to do, here, I'll just bring this down for right this second. So we'll just do one thing at a time. I'm just going to bring that down. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move that big number. So we're going to subtract this over here, because once we get the x's and y's together, we want to move this constant over. So we want to subtract 156. And that's a big number, but it'll be all right. So that cancels. Now when I bring this down, I am going to bring it down, but I'm also going to leave a nice little space, because I'm going to complete the square. So I know I'm going to be adding something here. So minus 24y plus blank equals negative 156. Okay. So the reason I'm doing that is because when I'm going from conic form to standard form, I'm going to have to do what's called completing the square. And so I'm going to have to complete the square with the x stuff, and I'm also going to have to complete the square with the y stuff. And so what you're going to do is you're going to, let me change colors here. All right. So I'm going to complete the square, and the way we complete the square is we take half of this number, so half of 8 is 4, and then square that, which would be 16. So what we're going to do is make sure we add 16 here. But we can't just add 16 over here, because that changes the problem. So we have to also add 16 over here. And now we have to complete the square for this part. So we completed the square for this part. Now we got to complete the square for this part. So we take half of 24, which is 12, and then square that, which is 144. So we add 144 here, but then we also add 144 here. Now on the right side, what does that give me? Negative, this gives me negative 140, I believe. And negative 140 plus 144 is just 4. So that works out nice. Now over here, the reason we completed the square is because if you were to factor this, this would factor really nicely. This actually factors, so if I was to try to factor this, I'm going to write it above it for convenience sake. If I was to factor this, it would give me x plus 4, oh sorry, x minus 4 times x minus 4. And another way of writing x minus 4 times x minus 4 is x minus 4 squared. Now, you may be asking where I got that from. And so where this number negative 4 comes from is it's half of this. So once you've completed the square, you're just going to write in parentheses x, some number here, and then all that squared. What that number is, so what goes here, is just whatever half of that number is. So half of negative 8 is negative 4, so that goes there. And the same thing is going to be true over here. We're going to have y in some number squared. What goes here depends on what is half of this. So what's half of negative 24? Well, it's negative 12. And then what you'll notice is we're done. So now we have it looking something like this. We have x plus or minus something squared plus y plus or minus something squared equals some number. And that's really what it needs to look like. So the gist of this is put the x's and y's together, move the constant, complete the square, and again, completing the square, you take half of this and square it. Now notice this is always going to be a positive number, so plus 16 plus 144. So half of 8 is, or you could even say half of negative 8 is negative 4. Negative 4 squared is still positive 16, so we add that to both sides. Half of negative 24 is negative 12. Negative 12 squared is 144, so we add that to both sides. And then when you simplify that, that goes down here, and in this, you just put x and some number, and that number comes from half of negative 8 squared, and then the same thing with the y. So hopefully this helps. Please let me know if you have any more questions.